So today we are reading The Arrival of the Hero, and this is chapter 4. If we look up in the italics first, we get like a little information about what's going on before we start reading. So we know Beowulf took 14 people, they hopped in a boat, and they were going to sail across the sea to Herat. So that's the last thing we read. And now today it's telling us Beowulf arrives in Denmark. Denmark is a country, and Herat is a town in Denmark. And he is directed to Herat, the guest hall of King Hrothgar. So he went to where King Hrothgar is king of. The king sends his Thane warrior, Wulfgar, to greet the visitors. So Wulfgar is one of Hrothgar's warriors, and he is going to meet Beowulf before Beowulf enters the mead hall. Then Wulfgar went to the door and addressed the waiting seafarers with soldiers' words. My lord, the great king of the Danes commands me to tell you that he knows of your noble birth, and that having come to him from over the open sea, you have come bravely and are welcome. So before he goes into the mead hall, he's like at the gates, and Wulfgar comes and tells him that he knows of your noble birth. And noble birth is not kenning, it's not alliteration, but it is something that we saw in the prologue, which was an EHT, an epic hero trait. You have to be nobly born. It's one of the epic hero qualities. So noble birth is an epic hero trait. And it's an epic hero trait of, they're talking about Beowulf, Beowulf. And then obviously bravery is also one of those epic hero traits. Now go to him as you are in your armor and helmets, but leave your battle shields here and your spears. Let them lie waiting for the promises your words may make. So he says, you can come in, you can enter, but leave your weapons. So, I guess they don't trust him like that yet. Beowulf arose with his men around him, ordering a few to remain with their weapons, leading the others quickly along Herat's steep roof into Hrothgar's presence. Standing on that prince's own hearth, helmeted, the silvery metal of his mail shirt gleaming with the smith's high art, he greeted the Danes' great lord. The Danes' great lord. Who are they talking about? Because they don't say somebody's name. This is an example of kenning. And they're talking about Hrothgar. Hrothgar is the king of the Danes, so he's the Danes' great lord. This word right here, a mail shirt, if you Googled it, it looks like, this is chain. It's like a little chain armor that they wore. Like if you shook it, it would be like clinkety, clinkety, clinky. That's a mail shirt. They talk about these later in one of the fight scenes. And Beowulf says, Hail Hrothgar. Hygelac is my cousin and my king. H, H, H. Hail Hrothgar, Hygelac. Repetition of sound. So that's alliteration. This looks raggedy. Alit. This says cousin. When they say cousin, it just means relative. Hygelac is Beowulf's uncle. So cousin don't necessarily mean cousin. It's like, yeah, he my family. Hygelac is my family and my king. The days of my youth have been filled with glory. Now Grendel's name has echoed in our land. Sailors have been brought us stories of Herat, the best of all mead halls, deserted and useless when the moon hangs in the sky the sun had lit. Light and life fleeing together. He said, yeah, we heard Grendel killing y'all. About Grendel coming up at night, killing y'all every night, because that was 12 whole years of it. My people have said that the wisest and most knowing and best of them, that my duty was to go to the Danes' great king. So Beowulf lives for adventure. He lives for glory. He lives for battle. So we're going to put that this is a EHT, epic hero trait. They have seen my strength for themselves and have watched me rise from the darkness of war, dripping with my enemy's blood. I drove 5 great giants into chains and chased all of that race for the earth. I swam in the blackness of night, hunting monsters out of the ocean and killing them one by one. Death was my errand and the fate they had earned. We're going to put a bracket off here. And I'm going to flip back for a second to look at the epic hero traits to make sure. Super strength. These are the traits. Extreme loyalty to their king. So Higlak is my cousin, right? Super strength, strong AF, loyal to their country and their nation. God-like tendencies. This would mean that they could do things that are almost like magical, things that only a god could do. Like swimming underwater for 5 hours, right? That is only something the gods could do. They go on long, complicated journeys, and they live for the glory. So if we're looking at this, I drove 5 great giants into chains, chased all of that race from earth. I swam in the blackness of night, hunting monsters, killing them one by one. We're going to put that this is epic hero trait. Specifically, what we could say it's like super strength. And then fate. Is fate going to be a pagan or Christian reference? We know fate means W-Y-R-D. That's what it'll say on our quote finder. And this is a pagan reference. And now Grendel and I are called together, and I have come. Grant me then, Lord and protector of this noble place, a single request. So Beowulf says, all right now, I'll fight Grendel, but do just one thing for me. So he has one request. One request. I have come so far, O shelter of warriors and your people's loved friend, that this one favor you should not refuse me. He is saying, dog, you have to do this for me. His one request. That I alone, and with the help of my men, may purge all evil from this hall. That is his request. That I alone, with the help of my men, may purge all evil from this hall. That is so like, I don't know. We can call it cocky. We can call it arrogant. We can say he full of himself. You can pick one of those. All right. Because he's saying the only thing I want to do is that we kill him. We don't want no help. We kill Grendel. Get out the way. We're going to turn. The bottom of this last page said, I have heard too that the monster's scorn of men is so great that he needs no weapons and fears none, nor will I. And then he says, my lord Higlak might think less of me if I let my sword go where my feet were afraid, if I hid behind some shield. My hands alone shall fight for me and struggle for life against the monster. So he says, Grendel fights with no weapons. I'm not going to be no punk. I'm not going to fight with no weapons. So he says, he will fight with his hands, just like Grendel. He ain't no punk. And he says, God will decide who will be given death's cold grip. Let's put a little cross. He says, God will decide who is going to live and who is going to die. Grendel's plan, I think, will be to do what he has done before, to invade this hall and gorge his belly with our bodies, if he can. And I think if my time will have come, there will be nothing to mourn over, no corpse to prepare for its grave. Grendel will carry our bloody fresh flesh to the moors, carry and crunch our bones and smear torn scraps of our skin on the walls. So he says, if my time shall come, there will be nothing to mourn over. He is trusting that fate is going to play out however it should. That's his pagan religion, saying like, hey, if it happened, it happened. We die. Who cares? He says, no, I expect no Danes will fret about sewing our shrouds if he wins. And if death does take me, send the hammered mail of my armor to Higlock, return the inheritance I had from Rethel, and he from Wayland. Fate will unwind as it must. And here is another reference as he is saying, hey, if Grendel trying to throw them hands and we get beat up, just send my armor, send my armor and my money. This is a W. Send it back, and it is what it is. Hrothgar, protector of the Danes, replied, Beowulf, you have come to us in friendship, and because of the reception your father found at our court, Egtho had begun a bitter feud, killing Halflaff, a wolfling warrior. Your father's countrymen were afraid of war if he returned to his home, and they had turned him away. Then he traveled across the curving waves to the land of the Danes. I was new to the throne then, a young man ruling this wide kingdom and its golden city. Hergar, my older brother, a far better man than I, had died, and dying made me second among Healfdane's sons, first in his nation. I bought the end of Edgo's quarrel, sent ancient treasures through the oceans and furrows to the wolflings. Your father swore he'd keep that peace. All right. This whole section that we just read, I'm put a line right here. This is Hrothgar speaking. So Hrothgar says, Beowulf, you've come to us in friendship. Like, all right, we cool. We cool or whatever. And we're cool because of the reception your father found at our court. So he's saying, I know your daddy. Your father, I know him. Beowulf's dad is named Egtho. All right, so Egtho is Beowulf's dad. And Hrothgar knows Beowulf's dad. He's saying that Beowulf's dad had a bitter feud, so your dad had beef with the wolflings. And your dad and them were afraid of war. So he came here asking for help, and I paid off ancient treasures to the wolflings, and then your dad promised he would keep that peace. So Hrothgar is bringing up some old news, right? Some old history. And he's kind of telling Beowulf, you owe me. I helped your dad. So now you got to help me. That's basically what Hrothgar's saying. Like, there was no reason for him to bring this up, but he decided to be like, yeah, dog, you owe me because my heart grows heavy and my tongue grows heavy and my heart when I try to tell you what Grendel has brought us, the damage he's done here in this hall. You see for yourself how much smaller our ranks have become and can guess what we've lost to his terror. Surely the Lord Almighty could stop this madness and smother his lust. He's like, surely God can help us. I know God can save us. How many times have my men glowing? Last page. How many of my times have my men, glowing with courage, drawn from too many cups of ale, sworn to stay after dark and stem that horror with the sweep of their sword, and then in the morning this mead hall glittering with new light would be drenched with blood, the benches stained red, the floors all wet from the fiend's savage assaults, and my soldiers would forever be still, death taking more and more. But to table, Beowulf, a banquet in your honor. This is crazy. All this part right here, Hrothgar is going into detail about how just bloody and evil it is when Grendel kills. Like, it's crazy. And then he says, but to table, Beowulf, a banquet in your honor. And then he's like, anyways, we finna party. And what happens when they party? Grendel lives down here, and they about to turn up. So they about to start pissing Grendel off so he'll come up. Pissing Grendel off. It says, let us toast to your victories and talk of the future. And then Hrothgar's men gave places to the Geats and yielded benches to the brave visitors and led them the feast. The keeper of the mead came carrying out with the carved flask and poured that bright sweetness. A poet sang from time to time in a clear, pure voice. Danes and Geats visited, celebrating as one, drank and rejoiced. Party, baby. Let's highlight right here. The keeper of the mead came carrying that carved flask and poured the bright sweetness. The keeper of the mead is a woman. When's the last time they mentioned a woman? Years, probably. So here's a woman, and her job is serving wine. So that's her only little relevance. And then the section ends and goes to Unferth's challenge.